understand the Nile Valley African civilization is to understand the Council of Nicaea, because the Nile Valley Africans and their descendants were the main catalyst to the Council of Nicaea. They invented the Neteru system. The Neteru were anthropomorphic representations of the elements of nature. And one of the stories was when Set killed his brother Osiris for the throne, and Osiris's wife, Isis, resurrects Osiris' spirit long enough for them to consummate their marriage. And Isis was able to give birth to Horus, their son, the Sun, because he was the personification of the sun, the anthropomorphication, the metaphor of the sun, and he would battle Set to avenge his father, Osiris, and take his rightful place on the throne. Osiris was sent to the underworld to guard heaven, and he is often depicted as green because he represented resurrection and the new crop cycle. Fast forward 2,000 plus years of these stories being transcribed along the Nile Valley corridor. We have Alexander the Greek, also known as Alexander the Great, and Ptolemy I Soter. These are Greek invaders that are subjugating and oppressing the Africans. Ptolemy shuts down all of the temples except for the one group of compromisers who are willing to give up secularism. So the secular community were the Nile Valley Africans who were not interested in worshiping a European image or accepting a foreigner into their sacred temple university societies. The Copts, the Melkite Copt Egyptians, these were the compromisers who went into the African Neteru system and combined the African deities or Neteru, Osiris and Apis, and they made Serapis or Serapis. Today, people know him as Christ. This European image was carried forth by every succeeding Ptolemy until the Africans were forced to not only worship their African gods beside this new European deity, Serapis. Now they are replacing the deities with European ones. So this is when we have to bring up the main catalyst to the Council of Nicaea. So one of them was when Mencius handed over the African sacred scriptures and scrolls against the direction of the Africans who wanted him to martyr himself. And when that happened, the Romans saw that there was a vulnerability in the Coptic community, in the Egyptian Orthodox Cultus Serapis community, which will later on become the Orthodox Christian or the Eastern Orthodox Christian tradition. So the donation to Constantine was when Constantine offered his imperial symbol to a Pope Sylvester, extending his powers beyond the church to the rest of the Byzantine Empire. So now he has authority on not just church matters, but other matters within the Empire of North Africa, the Byzantine Empire, that is North Africa, controlled by the Romans, who took over for the Grecians, going back to Alexander the Greek. This empire annexes the Greek Empire. So we're dealing with the Byzantine Empire. So going back to Mencius, when people say that the Bible was written by goat herders hundreds of years after these events were supposedly happened, that's not true at all. These biblical texts are all plagiarized texts that Africans wrote in Coptic language, which is African language, and in Coptic dialect Greek language. And these were all advanced scholars that were the direct descendants of the pyramid builders. So Mencius turns over the sacred scripts. Constantine exploits the schism, the split, the controversy within the Coptic community, and offers his imperial symbol if he can just get baptized into the Coptic society. And we're still dealing with the cult of Serapis at this point. So now they are replacing Horus with Serapis. So now we have Isis, Osiris, and Serapis. And they are pushing the Copts and the Romans. This is all under Roman control. These Africans are doing this to appease the Romans. They're pushing the homuousios doctrine, which means that Serapis and God the Father, who's God the Father, Osiris, are the same. Remember, Serapis is an image of a human, a sculpture of a human. Of who? Remember Ptolemy Soter, who got the Temple of Memphis to combine Osiris and Apis to make Serapis. So Arius sticks up and says, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Serapis is a created image of a man, Ptolemy. So he can't be the son of God and equal to God, because remember, they knocked out the S-U-N of God, Horus, and they replaced him with the S-O-N and said that he was the same as the Father, Osiris, Lord. So Arius says, no, he's a perfect creation, but a creature nonetheless. Because why do you have to be? How do you have to be a son? A S-O-N. You become a son. You become begotten by being birthed through a human. And who is Isis's mother at this? Excuse me. Who is Serapis' mother at this point? Isis. Until they invent Mary, which I'll explain in another video. So to be a son, you have to be, and be begotten, you have to be birthed through a human. And of course, he wasn't birthed through a human, he was birthed through Isis, and Isis is just a mythological character. So they were trying to go from mythology, fun teaching tools for our children, to actually making people believe that these are real people and real events. Arius stood up. I'll explain more soon. Hotep.